guys, it's Liana Ruppert. I am a senior editor over at Game Informer. If you can't tell by the way I look and the way I sound, I am very sick. So I'm going to sound really crappy on this video, but this is something that I need to talk about. Content warning, we're going to talk about suicide, we're going to talk about abuse. This is in relation to the Activision Blizzard story that went up recently. A big report detailing a lot of toxicity, a lot of just really gross behavior, some behavior that even resulted in one employee there that committed suicide. Um, Bloomberg was the one that did the initial report and obtained documents of the suit. California is suing Activision Blizzard, and the things that was detailed in the documents were horrific. That even if, see, you could hear the rasping, sorry, and you can also hear the dogs. But the thing is, if even 10% of it's true, which I have my own reasons to believe they are, I have worked with Activision Blizzard in the past during contract work. I know a lot of people that work there, either work there currently or have worked there in the past. And if even 10% of it is true, I'm furious and heartbroken. And the comments have just broken my heart, honestly, with everything. And you know, for some reason, I don't know what I've done or wrote that has made a lot of people go after me recently, but this month alone, I've probably been called a diversity hire close to 50 times. I've done a lot of work in this industry, and I think I've done a lot of good work. Yes, I do just news a lot, but I also do, and I don't like to pump out features every day because for me, I would rather do one really, really meaningful feature a month than pop out 50 lists. It's just my personal philosophy. I have talked about homelessness in games and derived from my experience growing up homeless. I've talked about suicide in games derived from my own past attempts. I have talked about abuse. I've covered crunch stories. I have experienced my own crunch. I try to put a little bit more human and humanity back into the space because a lot of readers that read our articles sorry, don't see us as human anymore. I have been told I am nothing but a public figure, so I need to get used to it a lot. I've seen developers be told the same thing. I have had some of the most horrific things said to me, and I was expected just to take it because that's part of the job. So, in light of this, I wanted to talk about some of my own experience because I don't want to talk about theirs too much when it's in allegation stage, not because I don't believe them, but because it's not my story to tell. I wasn't there. I am going to hyperlink my story in the comments, detailing it so you can learn some of these things these people have gone through. But be careful because it is graphic and it is disgusting and hurtful. But in my 18 years, I've done media. I've worked in marketing side. I got my first developer credit back in 2019. I worked with Blizzard through a marketing agency. I helped do their socials on Overwatch Brazil. That gave me a closer look at the culture there. None of the people I worked with are there anymore. They were all hit with the layoffs. I remember one time I went to Activision Blizzard for work to sit down with the team so we could come up with a cool plan for Overwatch, knowing that Overwatch 2 was going to be revealed. And I talked to one person who I guess used to work at BioWare when things were really, really bad. And now he works at Blizzard. I don't know if he's still there. I'm not going to say his name. But I will never forget what he said was, yeah, I left one pit of hell. I was like, oh, how do you, because the place in Irving is beautiful. It's, you bring your pets there. It's, I mean, on the outside, it looks like the dream place to work. And I remember even saying that when I was there. I was like, oh man, I would kill to work at a place like this because it just, it's the gamer's dream and it's just awesome. And he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, yeah, I left BioWare when it was hell, but I feel like I traded one hell for another, only now I can't talk about it. And then he just walked off. There was no follow-up conversation. It was odd. And I remember it really stuck out to me. And I started kind of talking to more of my friends that worked there. And some departments said they experienced nothing. They're like, no, our teams are really great. We're really close. Others said some really horrific things of one friend who was gay said that their supervisor consistently called them the F word. And they were never promoted. And it was, they were like, I have no reason to think that it's not because of that, because my sexuality was constantly thrown in my face. Anyways, I said I don't want to go too much into that. You can read about it if you want. For me, though, I have, small microaggressions. I remember I was in a meeting with about 20 or 30 colleagues, video meeting. I was remote, and my supervisor said, we had a podcast where everybody was on camera, and I asked, because I was the only one on the team that had never been on the podcast. I'm very interested in doing that kind of stuff. And he laughed. He goes, well, we'll consider bringing you on the show if you consider a nose job. You have a face for writing. And everybody kind of laughed and joked, and it was played off to be just this playful comment, but I was humiliated. I had, from earlier on in my career, to fit in because people were constantly telling me I was too ugly or too fat or whatever. Sorry. Earlier on in my career, those comments from supervisors evolved into me of having an eating disorder and feeling very dissociated from myself as a person. And so to have the nose job comment really kind of brought a lot of that rushing back. When I finally got myself back to a healthy place, that same supervisor told me I could not go to E3 unless I dropped 20 pounds because they didn't want somebody looking like me representing their company. I will say that supervisor is no longer with the company. They eventually got it right. When enough people complained about that person, they were fired. And that's good. But it took a long time to get to that point because we know HR, yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but the general rule of thumb is HR is there to protect the company, not you as the employee. There are exceptions. I just haven't personally encountered them yet. I remember years ago, I was sexually assaulted at an event. And when I told my supervisor, they told me you should just be flattered that they were attracted to you. When it started gaining traction, I stopped it immediately. I did not want it public. This was years and years and years ago. I was scared for it to go public. And just a few people mentioned it. I heard, but they didn't know who it was. I heard somebody that this here happened, and anybody have any details? But because my supervisor knew what happened, he was like, this better not catch fire. If this goes viral, you're done. You're gone. And it was so isolating. And I'm not a victim. Here's the thing is I really hate when you, and this is, you'll see in the comment sections of my articles of, oh, another professional victim. Having conversations is not the same as playing a victim. Do people purposely play the victim? Absolutely. I've seen people make up things and admit to making up things. But we have to have these conversations, and you can't just automatically box it into playing the victim. There's a difference between playing the victim and actually being a victim, and there is a difference between being a victim of something and being a victim as a noun, if that makes sense. And we're so scared to have these conversations because they're dismissed so thoroughly as just, oh, they're just wanting attention. As somebody who's been at the center of controversies because of things like this, let me tell you, nobody wants this attention. It's horrible. For the messages of support you see, times that by 100 for all of the hate you get sent your way. Telling you, I remember, one of them in particular, people were like, where's the proof? Where's the proof? So I showed the court document of the proof. And it was still, oh, she photoshopped those. So you don't want fucking proof. You want to prove that you're right, even though you don't know what you're talking about. Let's stop pretending that you want proof. We need to have these conversations, and you guys need to listen. You gotta listen. You have to fucking listen, because there's this performative aspect of social media of, oh, we have to stand with a woman. It makes me sick. A person I used to work with, I went to him daily. Most of the women that worked with him went to him weekly. We need your help. You seem really like an ally. We need your help. Our boss is doing these horrible things. And in DMs, he's like, oh my God, that's horrible. What a horrible person. But when we asked him to actually step forward with us, his response was, I don't want to shake the boat. I don't want to rock the boat. But then on Twitter, anytime these stories pop up, he's always like, believe women, stand with women. And the fake performative bullshit is just too much. And then he has the balls to ask me why I don't want to be friends with him anymore. Why would I want to be? You're fake as fuck. Your allyship, your help means nothing if all you're doing is using it for clout and using it for Twitter engagement. Don't use us like that. Stop using us like that. We're people. We're people. These developers, they are people. I don't give a fuck about your opinion of their games. It's not about the games at this point. It is about life or death. Do you know how many times I wanted to just put a bullet in my brain because I could not handle feeling so isolated from the community, from my peers, from the gaming community on the consumer side, the gaming community on the industry side. We have people actually killing themselves over this already done, and that's notated in the legal documents of the court case. A woman killed herself because her sexual harassment was not being taken seriously, according to the documents. This is all alleged, but her suicide is not alleged. That actually happened. We have to start having these conversations. And if your first knee-jerk reaction is to say, oh, this is a professional victim, or laugh it off with your laugh reactions, I can't change your mind. You're an adult, I'm assuming. I'm not going to tell you how to be or how to act. That's not my job. I can just hope maybe something about this resonates and you just be a little bit more thoughtful, be open to the conversation, because it's happening everywhere, not just in the gaming industry, but right now the conversation is about the gaming industry. And for me, my experience is from the gaming industry. And it's just a lot. And I'm tired of writing these news stories, but I want to be the one to write them because I am speaking from experience. And I feel like, especially if the topic is about women, a woman should write it. People were praising me for my story of, oh, this is so logical, and thank you for being one of the few journalists that talks about it rationally. instead of putting a bunch of interjecture. I don't need to put interjecture. The reality is disgusting. If you're not horrified by the reality, you're not paying attention. The story spoke for itself. And these stories continue to speak for themselves, but too many people want to dismiss it. Too many companies are claiming to be, oh, we're going to make changes to make our work environment safer, but they don't ever actually do it. The second a problem comes up, the person that comes forward is automatically the problem. They're gaslit. I've been gaslit so many times that I thought I was going crazy. Everything. You could tell me the sky was blue, or I could say the sky was blue, and they would convince me that I was wrong. It's so much deeper than just the conversations you see on social media. For every person coming forward with their stories, 1,000 are being silent because they know what it's like for people that come forward and they don't want to bring that on themselves, and that's their right. Protect yourself where you can. I'm going to link the story. I hope you read it. I hope you dig into the documents. I hope you read Bloomberg's report. It's important. It's important, and I hope you go into it with an open mind and not with the intent to prove it wrong. Because this is happening all of the time. It's not new. Just because it's coming out now doesn't mean it's new. This investigation was years in the works. It's so important. It's so important. Please, 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 please help. Or at very least, stand out of the way of the people that are trying to help. I'm not telling you to pivot your entire worldview, but if you don't want to help, just please don't hinder it, because this conversation already has 1,000,000,001 factors working against it. We don't need more. The devil has enough advocates. The response of, well, people's careers are being ruined over false rape allegations, all fake abuse allegations. I will say, I knew personally one woman that came forward years and years and years ago outside of the gaming. This was in college, and she did mention that she made it up. And I was livid. I wanted to kill her. Because I am a victim of rape who was so ostracized for it, I had to move states. I almost died. I was beaten. I was drugged. And then when done, I was left in the middle of the road, 2 o'clock in the morning. And because the girlfriend of the guy couldn't fathom that he would do that to me, she called me a slut, and I made it all up. Yes, I beat myself up and drugged myself. That doesn't make sense. I would never do that. Nobody would do that to themselves. But those are the kind of narratives that are brought against actual victims. So when somebody doesn't make it up, that's serious, and those people should be locked up. But we're letting a few isolated instances, because it's far less common than people would like you to think. We're letting that hinder actual victims being able to come forward. That's so wrong. So read it, be open, help. Thank you guys. I'm not going to edit this video either with cuts or anything, because the message isn't too important. I don't want it to be stylized. This is just a real conversation, hence no makeup. I'm sick. I'm sweaty because of fever. I have 102 fever right now. So bear with me. Thank you guys.